Okay, good morning. So what I would like to look at here is conjugating ER verbs into the present tense. Now, present tense is what's happening at the moment. For example, he swims, or they are talking, or we are, or I go. And in English, I am eating and I eat are kind of different things, but in French, they're not. They count as the same thing, and they fall under the present tense umbrella. So the first step for forming the present tense is to start with the infinitive. Now, the infinitive is the verb in its pure form before you've done anything to it at all. And you might need to look that up on a dictionary. And the online one that we recommend is wordreference.com. So you can see I've started off with the verb eat. And you can see down there, if you look down at the bottom, circled in red, you've got manger, and over there it says eat next to it. In English, there's even a little example, and I can tell it's the verb, and this is important because it's got that little V next to it, and that's really important. We'll see that in a second. Another one, you can see, for example, hate, and what you can see, I've typed that in there, and you can see there are multiple different options that have come up. That's fine, not a problem. It's got a V next to it, so it's a verb, so is that one and that one. The reason there are multiples is just because they're synonyms of the same thing. So you often find more than one version. Another example here, drink, and you can see what's important. I've circled this one, and we know it's the verb because it's got a V next to it, but it's important to check that because if you look down here at the bottom, it also says drink, and then it's got an N next to it, and that NF means noun feminine. So that is a thing. For example, I went to the fridge to pick up a drink. That's the noun, that's the thing, that's different to the verb. So you will have seen with those three examples that we just saw, you might have noticed they have different endings, and all infinitives in French will have either IR, ER, or RE at the end of it. And it's important that you take a note of that because that will affect how you conjugate it, which is how you change it. So you can see here the multiple examples we've got, the majority of them end in ER. And that is why we're looking at ER verbs today. So the second step, after you've got your infinitive, your initial verb, you need to work out who it is you want to talk about. And you can see here the six people. Now in grammar, they always take this order. And it's really important that you learn this in French as well, because if you go on to learn another language, it will similarly stick with the same order. So it is important that you get those in the correct order from 1 to 6. Now, hopefully you recognize those. We've got je being I, tu being you, il, elle, or on being he, she, or we. Nous is also we, and you can use either on or nous interchangeably. That's absolutely fine. Vous is you, but plural. So if you're talking to a group of people. So if I was saying just you by yourself, you stand up, then I would use tu. However, if I was saying to you and your mate John, you guys stand up, then I would use the vous form because I'm talking to more than one person. You would also use vous if you're being polite to somebody or you don't know them very well. So if you went and met the Queen and you said you are looking lovely today, you would use vous as opposed to tu. Finally, we've got ils and elles. They both mean they. It would be ils if you're talking about they, a group of boys or a mix of boys and girls. And if you were talking about just girls, then it would be elles. Now, once we've got our verb and we've thought about who it is we want to talk about, you need to change the end of the verb based on who it is that you are talking about. So if we take, for example, a verb that we saw at the beginning, détester, which was to hate, not very nice, but it's a good one for an example here. The first thing you need to do is get rid of the ER off the end. It's really important that you remember to do that. Then you need to put on your new ending based on who it is you want to talk about. So if you're talking about je, then you put an E on the end. So je déteste. If you're talking about tu, you, then you need to put an ES on the end. But if you listen, it still sounds the same. Tu détestes. You don't pronounce the S. If it is our next one, il, elle, or on, then once again, it's an E on the end. Déteste, so the same as for je. Next one, for nous, it's nous détestons. And that's important that you pronounce that one, but not the S. Listen, try and repeat it after me. Nous détestons. After that, we have vous détestez. Be careful, that ending sounds like an A, vous détestez. And then the final one is il or elle, and then it's déteste. And note once again that I don't say détestant, and you need to be careful with that one as well, because people often get that mixed up. And then you can see, after you've got that right in English, then you can see the translation into French. So what I would like you to do is pause this now, and I would like you either to make a note of that or copy that down, ideally in different colours into your blue book, or have a look in your blue book because you might already have something very similar written in there that you could copy instead. Okay, so pause and do that now. Okay, let's have a look at another example then. So we've got regarder, and what I'd like you to do is just pause it and check based on your notes and have a think in your head just for 30 seconds how you think you would conjugate this verb. So pause and have a think about it now, and then we'll go through it together. Okay, so we take off the ER first, really important to remember to do that. Then we put on our relevant ending. So we've got je regarde, tu regardes, il, elle, or on regarde, nous regardons, vous regardez, and finally, ils or elles regardent. Okay, let's try one more. So we're going to go with aimer, which means to like. So once again, pause it and just have a think about what it is you would put. Go. Okay, let's have a look then. So firstly, we get rid of the ER on the end. Now, the first one, this was a bit tricky. I wanted to see if you would get it. It changes to j'aime. Now, the reason for that is because if you try to say je followed by M, you're almost tripping over your tongue a little bit. Je aime. So because of that, we form what's called a liaison. And we do that with a lot of different vowels when they're close together. Not all of them, but a lot of them. So you would get rid of the E and put an apostrophe instead. A little bit like in English, where instead of saying I am, we change it to I'm. We put an apostrophe in there. So in French, it sometimes works the same. That's called a liaison. So we've got j'aime. Then other than that, it follows the pattern. Tu aimes, il, elle, or on aime, nous aimons, vous aimez, and finally, ils or elles aiment. Right, so what I want you to do then is pause now and then have a go at translating these. So write these ones down and we'll go through them afterwards. Pause now, off you go, good luck. Okay, right, let's go through them then. So first one, I watch, the verb is regarder, get rid of the ER, and we should change it to je regarde. Next one, we listen, you've got two options here. We could either have on écoute or nous écoutons. Either is absolutely fine. Next one, they eat. I didn't specify whether it was boys or girls, so you could have either had il mange or elle mange. Either would be fine for getting that one correct. Next one, you travel. Once again, I didn't specify whether it was you, just you, or you as in a group of you. So that one would change to tu voyages or vous voyagez. Either is fine. Next one, he swims, changes to il nage. We are flying. Now, I put this one in on purpose to see if it would trip you up a little bit. We are flying is the same as we fly. So it's still the present tense, which would change to either on vol or nous volons. Either is fine. Next one, I am looking for, exactly the same. You do not need to do separately. I am at the beginning of it. So just je cherche, I look for, and I am looking for are the same thing. And finally, John likes. Now, once again, this one's a bit trickier. You would have had to think to yourself, okay, John. John doesn't fall under the umbrella of je. It's not tu either. It's not you. You're not John, probably. And because of that, it falls under the category of he. So we need to change the ending so that it's the same as the ending for he. So it would be John M. All right. Well done, guys. Good stuff. And if you want to practice more of this online, there are plenty of opportunities to do so. Well done.